Maya's first words off the plane were not, "Are you okay?" They were not, "Thank God you're alive," or "I was so worried," or any of the things a person might reasonably say after 22 hours of unreturned calls during which their best friend had been kidnapped in a foreign desert. Maya's first words, delivered at 6:14 in the morning in the arrivals hall of Zafaran City International Airport, with her natural hair in a magnificent travel-inflated halo, and a tote bag that said, "I have opinions," in block letters, were, "Show me a photo of him right now." "Good morning to you too," Lara said. "I'm serious. Pull out the camera. You have 43 photographs of the desert, and I guarantee at least one of them has him in it." Maya dropped her bag, seized both of Lara's arms, and looked at her with the complete, focused intensity she normally reserved for closing arguments and very important food decisions. "You got married." "Temporarily." "In a desert." "It was a checkpoint situation. To a sheikh's son." "It's already being dissolved." "Lara!" Maya's volume had not decreased since landing. Several people in the arrivals hall turned to look. Lara, who had spent 4 days in a country where she spoke no language and owned nothing except her camera, felt the specific relief of someone hearing their mother tongue wielded at full force by someone who loved them. She pulled Maya into a hug and held on for a moment longer than she'd planned. "I'm fine," she said into Maya's enormous hair. "I'm genuinely fine." "I know you're fine," Maya said, hugging her back with considerable force. "I'm going to be upset about it anyway. That's how this works. Also, you smell like someone else's soap." "It's the palace soap." "Of course it is." Maya pulled back and looked at her with the expression she used when she was processing large amounts of information rapidly. "Okay, tell me everything, starting from the wrong turn and ending with why we are going back to a palace." "I'll explain in the car." "You'd better." Maya picked up her bag. "Is the palace driver cute?" The palace driver, who was standing 6 feet away holding a small sign and had understood every word, kept his expression completely professional. Lara caught his eye. He looked at the ceiling. She deeply appreciated this. She told the story on the 40-minute drive. She told it factually, in sequence, with the professional precision she used when filing reports. The ruins, the trucks, Hassan's compound, the rescue, the checkpoint, the marriage, the palace, the dissolution papers, the dinner. Maya listened in the particular way she had, which involved frequent small sounds of escalating reaction. Okay. Okay. Okay! That tracked her emotional temperature like a gauge. When Lara finished, Maya was quiet for approximately 4 seconds. This was, in Lara's experience, a record. "So he came into the compound," Maya said carefully, "in the dark, with a gun, and stitches on his face, and got you out." "Yes." "And then proposed marriage in a moving vehicle." "It wasn't a proposal, it was a logistical..." "And you said yes." "I said fine. There's a distinction." "There is not a distinction." Maya turned to look at her with the full weight of 7 years of best friendship. "And then he wrote you a note about Lamb." "About a security situation and also separately." "About Lamb," Maya repeated. "Lara, my love, my oldest friend, that man is into you." He is managing a complicated diplomatic situation that I accidentally became part of. He wrote you a note about Lamb. Lara looked out the window at the city sliding past, the morning light turning the white buildings gold, the palm-lined boulevard, the first market stalls opening for the day. She said nothing. Maya took this as the confirmation it was and settled back into her seat with the satisfied expression of someone who has made their point and is content to let it stand. The palace gates opened for the car with a smooth, unhurried grandeur that made Maya go very still. Then they passed through the second gate, and the fountain came into view, and the white stone archways stacked in the morning light, and Maya said, in a voice entirely unlike her normal one, "Lara, this is a proper palace. Are those actual guards? Why are they bowing at the car?" And then, at full volume again, "I need a minute!" Tariq was waiting in the entrance courtyard. Of course he was. Lara was beginning to understand that Tariq was simply always wherever the most interesting thing was happening, with the unerring instinct of a man for whom boredom was a genuine philosophical threat. He saw Maya, and his expression went through several distinct phases in approximately 1 second. Surprise, appreciation, delight, and the particular alertness of someone who has just encountered a variable they hadn't factored into their morning. "You must be Maya," he said. "And you must be the brother," Maya said, looking at him with frank assessment. "The fun one." "That's what I keep telling people." He smiled, his full smile, the one that had probably been causing problems since he was about 7 years old. "Welcome to Zafaran. I'm Tariq. Your room is ready, breakfast is being served, and I have been authorized to answer any questions you have about the country, the family, or anything else." "Authorized by who?" Lara said. "By myself," Tariq said serenely. "I have very broad self-authorization." He gestured toward the main entrance. "Shall we? The bread is best when it's warm." Maya looked at Lara. Lara looked back with the expression that meant, "Yes, I know, don't." Maya looked back at Tariq and smiled with a warmth that Lara recognized as both entirely genuine and also a form of reconnaissance. "Lead the way," Maya said. Karim was not at breakfast. This was information Lara told herself she was not tracking, and tracked precisely. He had a meeting with his father and the interior minister. Tariq mentioned this without being asked, with the casual accuracy of someone who had been briefed to mention it, and would not be available until midday. Lara ate breakfast, introduced Maya to Dr. Nasser, who immediately asked if she also had opinions about focal lengths, and took a long shower and changed into clothes that were actually hers, retrieved from her hotel along with the rest of her bag. At 11, she went to the roof terrace with her camera. The city from up here was extraordinary. A different geometry than from the balustrade below, wider, the desert visible at the edges where the urban density thinned, the harbor a flat glitter to the south. She shot for an hour with the focused absorption that was, for her, the closest thing to meditation she'd ever found. The light, the angles, the way the city organized itself around the palace like a conversation with a gravitational center. She shot a minaret against a cloudless sky. She shot the shadow of a water tower at the precise angle where it became abstract. She shot the guards at the gate below, tiny and formal, and the child running past them with a football, and the cat asleep on a warm stone ledge who had clearly made a series of excellent life decisions. "You go somewhere else when you do that." She lowered the camera. Karim stood at the terrace entrance, jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled to the elbow in the way of a man who has just come from something demanding and hasn't reassembled yet. The stitches above his brow were a week from invisible. He was looking at her with an expression she was starting to be able to read. Not the careful neutral of the public version, but something quieter and more direct. The face he wore when he'd apparently decided that composure was more effort than it was worth. "Sorry," she said. "I didn't know anyone used this space." "Anyone can use it." He came to stand at the balustrade, the same position as the night before on the floor below, and looked at the city. "You said the light was better up here." "You said that," she corrected. "Last night. You said the light was better from the roof terrace." A pause. "So I did." He glanced at her sideways. "Is it?" "Yes." She lifted the camera and pointed it at the horizon, not quite shooting. "Better angle. More sky." "May I?" He gestured toward the camera, not reaching for it, just asking. She handed it to him. He held it with the careful respect of someone who understands instruments, turned it toward the city, raised it to his eye. She watched him, the slight adjustment of his posture as he found the viewfinder, the small movement of his head as he composed. He stayed like that for a moment, very still, and then lowered the camera without pressing the shutter. "I didn't take a picture," he said. "I noticed. I couldn't find what to make it of." "That's the whole thing," she said. "That's all it is. Finding what to make it of." She took the camera back. Their fingers overlapped on the strap for a fraction of a second. Warm, incidental, gone. "Everything else is just equipment." He looked at her for a moment with that quality of attention she was beginning to find difficult to stand. Not invasive, nothing like that, but complete. The kind of attention that made her feel seen in the specific way that was different from being looked at. The difference between being observed and being understood. She raised her camera and shot the city. He watched her do it. Neither of them said anything, and in the not saying, something was established that hadn't been there the night before. Something without a name yet, that lived in the territory between acknowledgement and arrival. "The dissolution papers," she said eventually, because she was the kind of person who named things even when naming them was uncomfortable. "Are they still being processed?" "Yes. There's been a procedural complication. The Interior Court requires a waiting period, 7 days, in cases involving the territorial marriage provision." She turned to look at him. 7 days. "It's a formality. It changes nothing practically." "It changes the timeline." "Yes." He met her gaze steadily. "I understand if you'd prefer to stay at your hotel. It's safe now. Hassan's men have withdrawn from the embassy district. I can arrange..." "Is your father's cook here for 7 days?" The briefest pause. "Yes." "Then I'll stay." She looked back at the city before her face could do anything she'd have to account for. "Maya too, if that's acceptable." "Of course." Another pause, and in this one she could feel him deciding something. "Lara, I want you to know..." He stopped, started again, more carefully. "The 7 days, I didn't arrange the delay." She looked at him. He was looking at the city, jaw set slightly, the angle of his profile clean against the bright sky. He had said this, she understood, because he needed her to know it. because it mattered to him that she didn't think he had engineered more time. And the fact that it mattered to him, that he had said it at all, this man who said so little, arrived in her chest with a weight she was not prepared for. "I know," she said. He looked at her. Something in his face shifted, that slow tectonic movement she'd seen once before, the thing that happened when he was surprised by something he hadn't expected to feel. Then his phone rang. He looked at the screen, something closed in his expression, and he said, "I have to take this." "Go," she said. He went. She turned back to the city and raised her camera and shot the horizon, and the sky, and the desert beyond the buildings, and the cat still asleep on its warm ledge below, serene, committed, entirely unbothered. She envied it deeply. She found Maya on the East Wing terrace at 2 in the afternoon, sitting across from Tariq in a pair of carved wooden chairs, drinking mint tea and arguing about something with the animated intensity of two people who have discovered they disagree about everything in the most interesting possible way. Maya looked up when Lara appeared. Her eyes went from Lara's face to the camera in her hands, to something she apparently read in the combination of the two, and her expression shifted into the particular warmth she reserved for moments when she understood something Lara wasn't saying. "How is the roof?" Maya asked. "Good light," Lara said. Maya looked at her for one more second. Then she smiled, slow, certain, the smile of a woman who has already seen the end of this story, and said, "Sit down. Tariq was just telling me something very interesting about Yasmin." Next chapter. What Tariq knows. Yasmin had been engaged to Karim twice. The first time, she ended it. The second time, something else did, and no one in the palace would say what.